Last report, it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. One, zero, all engine running. Liftoff, we have a liftoff, 32 minutes.
And is there anybody out there that wants the boogie? Tonight, live from the Apollo. Glasgow.
Well, if you're looking for trouble, I'm the man to see. If you're looking for satisfaction, the satisfaction guaranteed.
Hello, folks. Well, as you could probably tell, we're having some technical problems tonight. So, Andy, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Now, you might not recognise that singer
dear.
in that live wire there, AC/DC song. That was me.
Some
With a band I
weirdo.
used to- yeah, you used to sing in
Yeah.
that band. Just because we're wondering about copyright, that's all. Thought we'd put me
Yeah.
on.
You're not bad, actually. I think you're pretty good. It's a good
That was a
recording,
good
that.
band. They were a
Yeah,
good band.
cool.
They were a good band.
Yeah. Let me tell folks what's happening tonight. There has been an issue with the software that we use to stream out to all the channels, and the technical guys have been tweaking about for the last hour and they can't sort it. We thought we might get away with that first video. It was a bit ropey, so my apologies. So we're going to have to go tonight without the video section, without the music section at the end, guys. But we thought we'd go ahead anyway, so I hope you don't mind. What do you think about that, Andy? Does that sound all right?
Well, no, I will just give up now.
Well,
Switch it off.
unlike last week when I was on the alcohol-free beer, mate, I'm on the Guinness tonight, and it's always dodgy doing it in live camera, isn't it? My God, I nearly made a mess there. I'm on the Guinness tonight, folks. I think I deserve it after the last hour I've just had. Have you ever done live streaming or anything online? You know how much of a pain in the arse it is when it doesn't work. So it's a shame because we had quite a good fun thing happening tonight, which we kind of do. But anyway, hello. Thanks very much for saying hello. You can obviously hear us. That's good. Thanks, folks. Thanks, Chris. So tonight, in a slightly different, as in winging it in the last 10 minutes, we're going to go through some of the feedback you've given us, and I've got a few things I want to report back on. And we've had some amazing stuff happened on Facebook, which Andy will tell you about right now. Andy, what's been happening on the Facebook group?
People posting stuff. We had this week. We just had one new person join up, so we've got 98 people this week. So that's pretty good. That's a good turnout for people coming in.
How many members is there now?
That'll be 8,000, just over 8,000. Yeah,
Right.
which is amazing.
It's utterly ridiculous. If you look at, it's always dodgy to talk about football teams, but we're at the sort of Hibs level with the SPL. That's how many members we've got in this Facebook group. It's unbelievable. And how many active members was it?
Last week there was about on average 4,000.
I mean, guys, so there's more people active on the Facebook group than the Apollo held.
It's a sellout.
It's a sellout, yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that was the amount of seats.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. When we talk about that another time, actually, I think some of it's. There's some Pinot Margan down there. Somebody's on the Pinot Margan. I can't speak tonight.
We've opened the side door and let people in there.
Yeah. We can talk about matchboxes going out the loo windows another time, maybe. Hi, Ian. Thanks very much. Yeah, you're right. That's 3 Apollos we're filling now, which is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, in terms of tonight, what we're going to do, and this is going to be, I'll tell you what the structure was going to be, and there's 2 bits that we kind of do because of the technology. We're going to start in a minute, coming back to you when there's been so many suggestions for what we call this. And I'm going to share some of them with you. We've not chosen one yet because they're all pretty good. So we might do, I don't know, Andy, if you could do a poll on Facebook, is that possible?
Oh, yeah, anything's possible.
Probably is. We'll need to think about that. But I think we'll maybe ask you to vote on it because there's so many of them. I think they're pretty funny and pretty good. So we'll do that. We're then going to show you some stuff that has come through through Facebook and through just direct contact, actually, on the website, the email, that's on the screen just now. A couple of things there that are really interesting, and we're quite surprised by them, quite rare things. Then we're going to have a quick chat about, who played this week, which we said we would do every week anyway, which is a good idea. We'll talk about the venue tonight, and I'm going to ask you about what you used to call it. So get your minds thinking. You can put that in the comments if you. We used to call it the Appalling. I don't know if that is a general other name for it, but that's what we used to call it. But we're then going to show you a film, and I'll not tell you what it was because we'll use it next week. But we're going to show you a film that's about 3 or 4 minutes long of somebody at the Apollo, which is really cool. But we'll do that next week. And then normally what we would do is have a song of the week, and then we'd finish. But we had the other thing that I'm just going to talk about now rather than waiting to the end is we put about 5 people suggested that because of lockdown, it might be quite cool if we did a Zoom version of this, so everybody could just chat to each other and get to know each other. And I think that's a great idea. So I've actually bought a Zoom license so we can have 200 people in the Zoom. I mean, I'm not imagining that many will come on, but even if 10 or 15 are coming on, we need the license. So I've done that. We won't do it this week, but from next week we'll have an after show Zoom session as well, just to help folk have a bit of a drink and a chat and meet some people. Might meet some old mates or whatever. So I hope that's okay. As I say, there's quite a lot of you said you'd like it, so we're going to have a go at it and just see how it goes. So thanks for thinking that was a decent idea. I'll try and name the people next week. Normally I would do it now, but the tech's not working, so I can't. Steve Hall says, hi guys, back from Holland. Good to see you back, mate. Thank you. Didn't put you off last week then. So, all right. So in terms of where we started, have I covered everything there, Andy?
Yep. Seems to be.
All right. In terms of naming the show, right? This is I'm going to tell you some of these because they're quite good. We've got right. John McCormack sent it. John, if you're there, hi John, how you doing, mate? Thanks for getting in, dropping us a line. John suggested it was for the after show thing, and John said we should call it Oot after the famous bouncers at the Apollo. Now I think there's a few bouncers watching, so they might have used another word in front of the Oot, but that's quite a good name. I quite like that.
I think we should maybe call it Hockledoot.
Say again.
Hockledoot.
Hockledoot. God,
Yeah.
I've not heard that for years. Hockled. Hockled.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Steve. That's nice that you say that. Hockled. This thing is, I've been on missionary work on England for the last 20 years, and hockled is not a word that they would understand. Not that there's many folk in, but hi, Jackie. Nice to see you. But that's maybe, hockled. I'll take a note of that, mate. Right, here's a few from John Henry. Hi, John. John's been really active in the group in the last couple of weeks. I think he was as surprised as everybody else how many people were responding to his notes. So John sent some ideas. View from the Gods makes sense. Yeah. This one's really clever, but I don't know if it's a name for a show, but it might be the name for something else, John. The tide is high, but the stage was higher. I quite like that. It's quite good. Yeah. The original Bouncy Castle. The Sticky Carpet Society. I quite like that. Yeah. And then there's I suspect this is a Leonard Skinner inspired one. What's that smell? I'm not sure about that. I quite like it. So that's that lot. Then I've got, there's a few folks said this. The Apollo stage door, among them was Kevin McCallum. The Apollo stage door, which I don't think is a bad idea. And then Aidan from Dumfriesshire said that he thought the structure was a bit like Off the Ball, in BBC Radio Scotland. And someone else said, well, why not call it Off the Hall? I'm not sure that's right, but I think it's a good idea. So this is why I'm not committing to anything at the moment. And the one that came up, 6 different people said, call it Apollo Memories Live. Now, I know there's a bit of an issue with that because there's another Apollo Memories stream somewhere, or at least it's a radio show, I think. So we might have an issue with that, but it's a decent enough name. So they were the main ones. If you have any more, stick them in the comments so we can see them later. Because remember, this saves onto Facebook, and Andy and I can have a look at it later. So that was great. Thanks. I'm really chuffed. Now remember, the one that gets chosen, whether we choose it from a poll or we choose it from a lottery or whatever, will win a copy of the second edition of the Apollo Memories book that we wrote with Martin Keelty. So I hope that somebody gets that in the next couple of weeks. It's quite exciting. So thank you. Any other ideas? Send them in. Please send them in. Either follow the email on the screen, which I'll put back right now. There you go. Or just put it in, as I say, put it in the comments, and that would be cool. Anything to add to that, mate?
No.
I think I've covered everything there.
That's it.
Right. So the next thing, this is quite. There's been some quite amazing things happened this week. Getting 100 new members in a week for a Facebook group. How long's the Facebook group been going, Andy?
Oh, 13, 13? Is it 13 years?
Has Facebook been going that long?
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, alcohol full beer is a lot better than alcohol free beer. You notice if you watched Fish on Friday tonight, he started off with a Erdinger, but halfway through the show he was on the wine, so I can understand that.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Someone just suggested on Facebook. What about walls that sweat?
That's Steve Hall. Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
That's quite. I'll write that down, Steve. That's quite good. That I remember going to other venues. Like, do you remember the Heathery Bar in Wishaw or some of the clubs in Glasgow, where it literally used to rain with the sweat? Do you remember that? I don't know if I've ever experienced rain. Well, I experienced real rain at the Apollo, but I don't know if I ever said the sweat. But that's quite good. Thanks, mate. We'll take a note of that as well. I suspect we're going to have to do a poll here, Andy, because there's so many of them that are pretty good. Yeah. I think we're going to have to do a poll, mate. I'm going to have to do a poll. All right. Right. So back to the actual Facebook group and the things that have happened this week. And this is going to be a regular thing because the group is so active. Not everybody that watches those in Facebook, because quite a lot of folk have come away from Facebook for reasonable reasons. So some of it you might have seen some before, but other bits you probably missed. And there's been a few rare finds this week, but one of them has been incredibly rare. And this, and I think the pictures are working, so I can actually show you this, which is really good. This came in this week, and if you just have a look at what that is, this is the famous trophy that, I mean, it's cheap rubbish, but Frank Lynch and co used to give the bands a trophy if they sold the gig out. And there's 2 or 3 versions of this. And if you see, there's one, the famous one with Blondie. I think I've got that picture actually here. Oh, no, I don't. There's a famous one with Blondie holding one, but this is one of AC/DC's ones. And this guy, now I've actually just had a conversation with a guy, and I'm going to get the whole story for us. It's a fella called Bryce Redburn, who was over on the Bon Scott tribute Facebook page, and he was given this by Bon and Malcolm. Can you believe that? And it was actually our very own Jim Grennan, who's in here regularly, who spotted it. And then I got in touch with Bryce today, and I noticed on Bryce's profile, I don't know if you're in, Bryce, but there's lots of photographs with AC/DC. So I think we've got a man here that knows the band. But they gave him that. Isn't that amazing? They're looking around in Glasgow for the last 40 odd years. These trophies are, as I mentioned last week, there are bands, and certainly Frank Lynch was so keen to get hold of one of these trophies. And they're cheap rubbish. They're just from that shop Tom Russell used to run, the sort of the sports shop type trophies. Just rubbish, but they're really sought after. I'm not sure AC/DC would be too bothered, but I think the fact they got that from Bon and Malcolm is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. What's everybody saying here? After the gig, when you left, the walls were sweating. Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that, Steve. I can believe that. Isn't that an amazing thing for us to find? That's been kicking around Glasgow for 40 odd years, and it's just popped out of the ether. Quite incredible. So that's one of the things that happened this week that I thought was amazing. And the other thing that was said in the communication between us on this was that people didn't know that there was a book about the Apollo. They didn't know there'd been a musical. They didn't know about the DVD that we made. It's incredible how, despite the fact we've been doing this for 17 years, that there's still people out there that don't know about what we've been doing. Yeah, it's amazing. You see more of that than I do, I think, Andy, with the website, don't you?
Yeah. I got a lot of stuff like saying, "Oh, I've just found your website." Well, good. But a lot of people are. I don't understand, if you're looking for something for the Apollo, that you'd never come across the site. So
no, exactly. Yeah, but it's great. I mean, I love it because the thing I like, mate, is when you get this person who finds the website or finds the Facebook group, and they send us apps, and I've done it. I'm not saying this is not a bad thing; it's a great thing. They send us gushing text saying, "Oh, that's amazing! I saw this band, this band, this band, this band, this band," and of course, everybody in the group is going, "Yeah, we have had that conversation before." But for them, it's really cool, and they've suddenly got this memory. So I hope we must never put them off, those people, because it's brilliant.
No. Well,
it's absolutely brilliant.
It's the same as if you've got anything new. If you found something new, you want to tell people what you've done and what you've seen. That's all it is.
Yes.
Apollo Creed. Yeah, it's very good.
What's that about?
Apollo Creed.
Oh, right. Good. That's excellent. Well, I quite like that. I'm going to write that down. I like that one.
Well, or is it Apollo Breed, like Apollo Bread? It's called.
Alan, what do you mean by Apollo Breed for the name of the show? Oh, that's good. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I think he means us.
He's meaning the boxing. Yeah. Right. Okay, mate. All right. Okay. That's good. I like that. So the other thing we got this week, this was, let me just show you this. This is stuff that I wrote the guy's name down, actually. Aidan from Dumfriesshire. I hope you're there, Aidan. Aidan very kindly sent us his tickets, as did another couple of people. These are the new ones we got. And John McLaughlin, I think most of us have heard of, but Aidan was saying it was very quiet. So these tickets are quite hard to get your hands on. There's a really old one there from ELP that we'd never seen before. In the middle, Jim Grennan sent me this picture on Messenger. That's one of the old badges. I quite like that badge. And it's pinned, Jim, isn't it, to a towel that he caught from the French band Triumph. that they threw into the audience. So,
Canadian. They're
Eh?
Canadian. They're
I think I was sorry,
Canadian.
French Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
But and then Rick Wayman. I never knew Rick Wayman played near the end. Well, I probably did, Andy, but Rick Wayman obviously played near the end of the Apollo there.
Very
then,
near. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very near. And then the final one that we got from Aiden was this one about a band called War. I don't think I'd ever heard of War. And then Blood, Sweat and Tears. It was a joint headline thing. And again, there wasn't many people there. But so these are quite rare, these ones. This is great. So Aidan, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. It's great to see these things coming through. Because I know people really appreciate it when they go into the website. And you would not believe, well, you would probably believe the number of journalists and people writing books that come to us and ask us if we can use the tickets so we can use the stories. It's quite incredible. So anyway, I hope you found that. I thought that was brilliant this week. Thanks, guys. It's really, really cool that there's so many of you contributing and so many of you bringing stories that we've never seen before. So it's really appreciated. It's magic. So, Andy, who was playing this week, mate, at the Apollo? Can you remember?
Who was playing this week? Well, I can't actually remember this gig because on the 19th of the 11th, 1983, Ozzy Osbourne played.
Oh, was it that?
We were at that, and Heavy Petting were there. They were there too, so I remember that. That was a good gig. Who else was there? The night before that, or 3 nights before that, that was Public Image Limited. Take it back to 1940.
Oh, fuck.
1945. The Choral and Orchestral Union of Glasgow played. On the 18th of November, and I think the members, Robert Poole, Poole. I think he sent me lots of stuff before about. He sent me scan. I think it was him. He sent me some scans of programs from that.
All right.
I think, or he sent me some images of a program of the playlist, not the playlist, but like the running order for that gig. Not gig, it was an orchestra. Yeah,
show.
So it must have been quite a show. That would have been a good show. Yeah. And there's what's the name? I was looking at the list and it said that Humble Pie played this. That was this week. I was wondering if that was the gig that they recorded their side 4 of their album. Eat It, I think it's called. It was a live album. Before that last side was recorded at the Apollo, but I wasn't sure. Maybe one of the members could tell me if that's correct. I wasn't sure if it was that concert or the concert the year later. Yeah. So,
I kind of missed. I missed Humble Pie. I still don't really know their music very well. That's embarrassing, really.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. They're really good. Good band. Good rock band. Good rock. So R&B rock band. Yeah, they're a good band. Really good.
Didn't they have that Glenn Hughes guys anywhere near it, did they?
No.
Yeah, much I like him.
No.
The voice of rock.
Stop it. He's a good singer.
Sorry. Back to that gig.
Look, don't push your agenda on other people, mate.
I'm not going to push my agenda, sorry. Steve Hall saying he was there in 1945. Steve, do you know my dad? My dad's wee Les Ficker. Do you know him? If you knew him, you would know him. Anyway,
actually, Leonard Skinner played as well this week too.
Did they? Brilliant. Yeah, I'd love to have seen Skinner at the Apollo. I never saw them there.
And
I saw them at the last.
Yeah, I think they supported Golden Earring, so they weren't even headlining.
Oh my gosh, that would have been brilliant.
Yeah, that would have been a great gig.
A bit of a story about Leonard Skinner, guys, because we had when we first launched the website, there was a lot of bands got in touch with us, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get back in touch with us, to be honest, because they're all really keen on the Apollo. But Skinner sent me a parcel, like quite a big parcel, and it had like loads of programs and pictures and all the rest of it, and it had a T-shirt in it, and it was wrapped up in a sort of like a loo roll, and I opened it up, and it was a white. I've still got the T-shirt. It's got a few holes in it, but it still fits me, so I'll put it on one week. It's a bit knackered, but I'll put it on. It's 20 years old, but so I unrolled it, and in the middle of it was the biggest cigar honestly, massive cigar that I got for the band, and I got a really nice wee note for them saying well done and keeping the memories of the Apollo going. So Leonard Skinner loved it. That's amazing that they were. How many years ago is that? 40 years ago? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That Aussie gig, was that the one when he shaved his head? Do you remember that, folks? He had got a razor and he shaved it and it was all cut.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't.
Can I remember?
No.
But I remember Heavy Petting quite. I mean, they nearly made it, didn't they?
Yeah, they were close.
They got really. There was them and Bon Jovi were kind of at it at the same time, weren't they? And Bon Jovi made it and Heavy Petting never. But they've reformed, haven't they? In fact, I think they played it. Is it Winter Storm? You know that gig that every year there is up north. I think they were pretty good. I heard a lot of folks saying they were pretty good. I always thought his voice was a bit squeaky, but he's a good wee singer though.
People,
I don't care.
your opinion again.
That's my opinion. If folk don't agree, they can tell me I'm talking pish. I don't care. But I quite liked them. I remember they did the live video and they got everybody to go to the gig and they played. You were in that, were you know?
Did they go to Kelvin Grove?
Kelvin Grove, aye, and they did. They did go. Well, they turned up at Kelvin Grove, and then was that the year John Bon Jovi turned up? No, that was Glasgow, wasn't it? That was Glasgow. John Bon Jovi walked on, but I thought Heavy Petting were a fine wee band. Actually, I thought they were all right. Yeah, good. What's the guy? Punky. That's right, Punky Mendoza. That was his name, wasn't it? He was all right. Yeah, but so who else? Humble Pie, Aussie. Who else was it? PIL. PIL.
There's Public Image Limited.
Aye. That's quite a famous one as well.
Yeah. Your favourite, Chris de Burgh, was on.
Jesus. You know, I'd
Rick Wakeman again. He played in Rick Wakeman again. Saxon.
Right. What?
Yeah. Saxon. They supported Motorhead. So Motorhead played. So there'd probably be a few our viewers went to that.
Yes. Probably not been too. Would have been a bit rock here, aren't we? But somebody's just said, Heavy Petting lost it when they did their Eurovision song. God, I remember that. What was that called? Was it Romeo or something? Wasn't it?
It was called Romeo.
Romeo. Yeah. Oh dear.
Mate.
Sorry, I'm going to get in trouble with the Heavy Petting Brigade.
Hey, have you been a Eurovision Song Contest entrant? No,
I have not. I have not.
Well, there you go.
There's Trevor's just saying. Trevor's saying Winter Storm's not up north, but Troon in Ayrshire. Mate, that's up north for me. You know, come on. I'm living in the Cotswolds these days.
I was going to say that.
It's a brilliant festival. I've heard loads of folks saying it's a great festival. I'd love to go to it. I go to Bonfest every year. Well, when there's not COVID. I've never got to Winter Storm, but Andy and I were at school with Paul McManus, the drummer with Gun, and he was saying that Winter Storm, they played there last year, and he said it was one of the best gigs he's ever been. So he rates it as well. So I think it's quite a cool gig, quite a cool gig. I'd love to go to it. The PIL concert, I don't know if anyone was at that, but I think it's quite well known because it was really short. I think it was less than an hour, and there was a bit of a bar night at the end. I remember that. I think a guy we were at school with was into them, and I remember him going to it and being really peed off because it was such a short one. I don't know if anyone remembers it, but Ozzy was brilliant, wasn't he? Andy, do you remember that?
Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
So is that it for last time?
Also, Judas Priest played this week too.
Right. What year?
That was Judas Priest played in 81, so wee bit before our time.
No, that was my first gig, mate.
What was it?
That was my first gig at the Apollo. Yeah, there was a German band. You remember Accept?
Accept, yeah.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Well, actually, I'll be honest. The first gig I was ever at was at oh God, what was it? It was in Bridlington Ice Rink, and I was with the Boys Brigade and a band that some of you'll remember, Bad Manners, were on it in the ice rink. That was actually the first gig I was at. Wasn't the best gig, but no, I was in the second row of the circle, and I remember it because it was. We've got more Sydney people in here. That's Anne. Hi, Anne.
Hi,
And
man.
Andy's not far away for you. He's in Sydney as well. He's looking out the window for you. But
Yeah,
I remember going
lovely
to that
weather.
gig, and I remember Accept coming on, and you remember the big heavy curtain they used to have on the stage. Well, they kind of played right at the very front of the stage. I don't even know if I can't remember. Somebody will tell me, but I don't remember if the curtain was even taken up. And Accept I didn't mind them actually, but they were really loud, and I'd never been to a proper gig before, and I was like, oh my god. Then on came Judas Priest. Jesus Christ! I mean, they went absolutely ballistic. They were brilliant, and to this day, I think you always think your first concert's quite a big one, don't you? But
Yeah,
I thought it was magic. I've seen them since, and they were quite good. But that night they were absolutely amazing.
yeah,
Remember that? What's that song? Green Men Alicia that they do. You know, the cover version that they do.
yeah.
That was just the big man came on with the big motorbike onto the stage. It was brilliant. Oh, here we go, Andy. They're asking us what we think of the new AC/DC album.
Like it.
Yeah. It's a really good
I like
question,
it.
Chris, because one of the things that we're also going to do, can I do it this week? But we're going to actually talk about bands that are still going and bands that maybe sound like or are in the same genres, if you like, as some of these bands. And Andy and I were chewing the flat last night about 2 a.m. whilst I was drinking wine and he was probably drinking coffee again, about the new AC/DC album. I think it's pretty damn good, actually. I don't like the last song, the Innuendo one, but the rest of it is brilliant. And I think there's at least two. What's that song, Andy? The one, there's one song sounds like a Bon Scott song. It really does. You know, the one, the slow burn one. But it's just AC/DC, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
I love it. I love it. I hope we get to see them one more time. Saw them at the Apollo 3 times, I think. And again, we were talking about that last night. You know, you used to be able to see AC/DC in small venues like the Playhouse and the Apollo. You've no chance now. You know, seeing them in, it'll be Hampden if you're lucky. What's this? Who's this? Steve Hall saying, I remember my first gig and the volume was like bloody hell. Yeah, I know. It took some getting used to the live volume thing. Sorry, Andy, what are you going to say, mate? Sorry.
No, I was just going to. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
What was your first one? Was it Wings?
My first one was Wings. Yeah, yeah, and that was loud as well.
Yeah,
yeah. Just because I was young and it was such an overwhelming experience.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Just like in this huge cavernous building, and you're, what is this?
Yes, yes. Trevor, you're right.
I'd never been in that place with that many people at once.
Yes.
You know, yeah, all looking the same way, all doing the same thing.
Yeah, and they all know the songs, and being part of that group's quite weird when you're younger, isn't it? But I remember there's another chat we were having on the Facebook group about Rush, and I missed Rush at the Apollo. I never saw them there. But in '81, I went to the gig at Ingliston, and that literally was in a cow barn. I mean, it was ridiculous. And there must have been, somebody will know, but it felt like there was 6,000 or 7,000 people there. And I was right at the front, and I got pulled out. I was only a wee boy, you know, and they started to play Countdown, if you know, that's the one they have with the space shuttle taking off. And it's a brilliant, really odd. The sound is amazing on the track, and live they were just terrific. And the place surged because it was literally a cow barn, and the place surged forward, and I was right at the front, and the barrier came across my chest, and I fainted. And the next thing I knew, I was in an oxygen tent, looking up Geddy Lee's nose, which is quite a big nose, but I was in this oxygen tent, and I was there with a guy called Graham Potter. Do you remember Graham Potter?
I do, yes.
And Graham was still behind the barrier shouting, oh, I can't say, but it began with a C. Yeah, silly. Yeah. And so I got up, ran out the oxygen tent, round the back, and back at the back of the crowd, and made my way to the front again. And I got pulled out again. This big burly bouncer pulled me out. They're a bit nicer than the Apollo bouncers. The Apollo bouncers usually hit you rather than so yeah, it was quite so we've got other folk here. What's this one? This is a good one.
See that the AC/DC, the song that I think you might be talking about, it sounds like what is it? Demon Fire?
Aye.
Yeah. It's a good one.
It really is good. The funny thing with AC/DC, I mean, don't want to make this the AC/DC show, but a lot of folk are saying they're interested. But The weird thing I always think about them is some of the production in their albums is so bad. Like Flying the Wall, Flick of the Switch, and all those albums.
Well,
the
they did
production
that
is
themselves. I
appalling.
think they did that themselves.
Well, you can tell.
Yeah.
You want somebody in, you get somebody that knows what they're doing, like Mutt Lang, but that the production of the album's great, and I think that really helps, particularly with Brian's voice. He's not so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fair. He's better than me, but anyway, folk are telling us what
Yeah, he is better than you. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Who have we got here? Ian
Well,
Baird
here's someone
saying,
saying, ELO supported by Steve Gibbons' band.
bloody hell.
That would have been a good gig.
I bet that was good.
Yeah.
ELO are still a huge band, aren't they?
Yep, they are.
Still huge.
Good band.
Is there any of the original band members left apart from the front man in ELO? I don't think so. Don't know.
But here's someone. Here's someone here went. Sorry, folks. This is another AC/DC. There's someone here went to see Back in Black tour. Now that would have been a fantastic gig.
Aye, I'd like to be at that.
I would have loved to go to that. Yeah.
I heard Brian Johnson talking about that. You know that he does a show on Sky. Sort of, he meets people and chats to them like Dolly Parton and Robert Plant, and he's met loads of people. And he said that he mentioned the Apollo a couple of times on that show, and he said that the crowd at the Apollo were terrifying until he walked on the stage, and the noise was absolutely incredible, and it really helped him get, because he had pretty big shoes to fill. I think it meant quite a lot to him, that gig, mate.
Well, it would have done.
No, I never got to that one.
Yeah.
And Trevor's saying, there's just Jeff Lynne left in in ELO. I thought that was the case. What's this one? Alan Barker saying, I bumped into Ozzy and full band as they were coming out of the chip shop after the gig. Or is there a secret back exit for bands? Well, I don't know. There was that. Obviously, there was the stage. There was the wee back entrance at the. Was it called the Lane? What was it called, Andy? I can't remember.
It's called Renfield Lane, wasn't it?
It's a Renfield Lane.
Yeah.
But don't know. Maybe somebody will tell us. There could have been, because I know inside. I was only backstage once. I was backstage at a Gillan gig, and I remember there was stairs going downstairs, and there's all those wee rooms downstairs. Yeah. But I don't know if there was another entrance or exit. If anybody knows, let us know, folks.
Which chip shop would it be? The Mr. Chips or the burger at the back?
Oh, you know too much.
Yeah. One of the burgers, a big burger sign on the side of it. Burger.
Any Wishbone Ash fans on? Well, I like Argus, and I've seen the chap, I've forgotten his name, Ian, is it? The guitar player who's still doing Wishbone Ash. I interviewed him actually for the Apollo website, and he was a lovely fella.
Renfrew Lane, sorry. Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Renfrew Lane, there you go. And I remember I went to see Wishbone Ash. I was working for the NHS for a wee while in Glasgow at the Great Western, and I went to a Wishbone Ash gig at the boat, the I don't know if that venue's still there, the boat on the river down in the Clyde, and they were really good actually. I really enjoyed it. What's it called?
Yeah. Renfrew Ferry.
Ah, right, yeah.
I walked past it about 2 months ago.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, it didn't look,
Andy Powell, that's right, mate.
Didn't look operational then, but yeah.
No, I think they've had some problems. I mean, I don't suppose having a venue on a boat's a good idea, is it? So
yeah. In the middle of a pandemic, it's not a great idea.
No. The Motors supporting. I don't remember. I remember the name, but I don't remember their music. Were they any good, mate?
They were. I think they were okay. Yeah. I thought they were alright. Kind of new wavy, were they? New wave,
right?
Ish. I'm not sure.
We really need to do a whole show about support bands, I think.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good.
Yeah. I think there's probably some support bands that went on to be headliners, and the headliner was a support band.
I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
I know this is quite controversial, but I thought Bon Jovi smashed Kiss completely off the stage. I don't even like Bon Jovi, but by God, they were good that night.
Yeah. I think there's a recording of that kicking up on YouTube. Maybe Jack's got it. Yeah.
Really? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Somebody's showing off here. Jackie, look at this, Andy.
What, airport?
No, she was at the Motley Hoople Queen gig. That was her first gig. Jackie, that must have been amazing. I was listening to the bootleg of the Queen show that night today, actually. And actually, no, I'm not. Jack's told me I'm not allowed to call them bootlegs. They're called live recordings. Sorry, Jack. And yeah, they sounded absolutely amazing. I'd love to have been at it. And back in the day, Motley Hoople were brilliant as well. It must have been terrific. I was a bit, when that film came out, Bohemian Rhapsody film, there was quite a lot weird about that film, but they didn't really get into that era of Queen, which I thought was a real shame, because Queen worked bloody hard to get to where they got to in the early days, and that was an amazing gig. I would love to have been at it. And even the tickets were quite hard to get for a while, but there's a few about now. But they unlike the only one that's rarer than that was probably the Stones one, the concert one, Andy.
Yeah,
which we've got that now, haven't we? But they were quite hard to get to. Well, here's somebody saying,
well, it was a sellout. Rare to buy.
Folk don't want to give them away. That's the problem. They just don't want to give them away. The Motors, Dancing the Night Away. Right, okay, I know that song. It was amazing. I bet it was. I would love to have been at that show. Who's this? Bandy Legs supporting Sabbath.
I don't know what that is.
Is that Van Halen?
Maybe.
I've never heard of them. Never heard of them.
I don't know. I think that's a mistake. I don't know.
Come on, Nick. Bandy Legs. Who's that?
I don't know who that is.
A bit slow. Anyway, we'll come back to it. Anyway. What's this one? What's this? ROIO. What's that? George, what's that? George Price. What's that, Andy? Am I being stupid? Is this an acronym I should know?
It's something I should know probably too. No.
Come on, George, you need to tell us what ROIO means. It's probably something obvious. I can feel a stupid moment coming on here. I have quite a few of those during the day. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Recording.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Recordings of indeterminate origin, still bootlegs to me. Well, don't talk to Jack at the Apollo bootleg. The Apollo bootleg, I did it again. The Apollo live recordings page, because he's really keen. He doesn't want to call them bootlegs. So, never heard that acronym before. There you go. Well, here we go. This is from Trevor. Bandy Legs were a Brummie band that changed to Quartz. All right, I remember them, and supported Sabbath again at the Apollo. I've heard of Quartz.
Yeah.
I've honestly never heard of them before. That's terrific.
Well, if they change the name, maybe Bandy Legs is not a great name.
Quartz isn't much better.
Well,
I'd love to have seen Sabbath at the Apollo.
It's hard. Yeah.
Well, that was amazing. That was quite a week this week, Andy.
Yeah.
There's quite a week. Amazing that folk remember a lot of these gigs. I hope I've not. See, this is all going to be on the Facebook group, so you can have a look at this later on, guys, if you want to have a chat with people. But it was quite a week. Now, what we would like to do for future shows is Andy and I are going to let you know.
Hold on, Scott.
Yeah.
There was a Battle of the Bands on. I just realised this. There was a Battle of the Bands on in 1980, in November in 1980. Do you think if any of the bands that played there, any members are on here, could they maybe get in touch? That might be good to get their opinion of how they went down.
That would be
and
cool.
how the Apollo was for them,
Are the band names? Do we know the band names?
No, well, it just says I've just got Battle of the Bands. It was probably run by Unicorn.
Right.
Probably Frank. Okay. Yeah, it's probably one of them.
Okay.
Just to fill up some space and get some seats, some cash,
get some money in.
Sorry, continue with what you were saying.
I bet the bouncers were still at it though, mate.
Yeah.
We must do a whole show about the bouncers. I mean, I think that's pretty important. Anyway, well, thank you. That was great. I think if you don't mind, what we'd like to do for future shows is we're going to say, it's going to be the bands that played next week that we're going to talk about in the next show, and hopefully play some of their music. And what we'd like to do is for folk to chat about it in the Facebook group. So Andy and I will put something on Facebook, and we'll try and just to enrich in the commentary a wee bit, and get us get into it a bit deeper, and getting some pictures and some actual memories about the shows would be great. So watch out in the Facebook group, guys, and we'll see if we can get the dialogue going. But that was pretty good. Thank you, guys, for getting into that. That was brilliant. Right, the next thing we're going to do every week is we're going to talk about the building itself, because it means so much to folk. And I mean, some of the things that happened at the Glasgow Apollo and the Greens Playhouse, folk just don't believe. Like there's one, I don't think even Andy knew this until I mentioned it to him earlier on in the week. There used to be a golf course on the roof. Honestly, there was a pitch and putt golf course on the roof of the Greens Playhouse. They really did try. There's a book about the Greens Playhouse called I Want You In, and it's detailed in there. Can you believe it? It was a big building, but I didn't think it was that big. I reckon it must have been putting, mate. I don't think it could have been a chip. I can't imagine that. Pitch and putt.
Don't think it'd be pitch and putt. No. On Renfrew Street.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Street. Yeah.
But sorry, I need to go backwards one step, because somebody's saying I'm being controversial here. My first gig was Sparks. Sparks are actually quite popular, I'm not so keen on them, but there's an awful lot of folk really like them. There's quite a lot of prog fans like Sparks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand that. I don't know what their new music's like. I've not heard anything since they were in the charts. But it's
what, 1977?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember it's wee sort of Hitler type.
The only time, this is a bit odd, but the only time I ever saw Sparks was I was working in a motorway service station at Castle Douglas, I think it is Castle Douglas, and Sparks were there,
right,
getting their breakfast. That's the only time I ever saw them. And they had the guy with the moustache. I can't remember his name. He had the suit on and the tie and the little natty. He looked a very natty dresser, but for breakfast, I thought, in the service station, that was pretty funny.
We've got some Sparks love in here, guys. Look, very underrated. Sparks are brilliant. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Guy's a good singer. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and listen to them, because I don't really know their music at all. I just know that in another world, I'm a bit of a Marillion fan, and there's quite a lot of Marillion fans really like Sparks.
Right.
I don't know why.
Ron and Russell Mayall.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
We've got someone in from Chattanooga. Wow, Jimmy, welcome. And Jimmy's mentioning something here. He said he was part of the Apollo choir that was recording the River Sessions for the Nazareth show in '81. Wow. I used to love Dan. I thought he was a brilliant singer. But that was a good gig. I never saw them at the Apollo. I saw them at the Playhouse in Edinburgh. But so here we go. Who's this? It took me years to work out that Sparks were brother. I didn't know that either. Gosh. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's. People like talking about bands.
Yeah.
What?
Back to the Apollo.
So what? There was pitch and putt's one thing, but the other thing that I was certainly aware of when I was a kid was the Apollo had nicknames, and the one we used to call it, I don't know if you remember this, Andy, because we didn't always go in the same bus, did we, or the train, but we used to call it the Appalling, because it was kind of falling down when we were going to it, because most of the time we went was in the 80s. We missed a lot of the really good stuff in the 70s, but so we called it the Appalling. I don't know if that's a general name for it. Is anybody else? I'm sure I saw somebody in the Facebook group calling it the Purple Palace. I definitely saw that, but has anyone else got a name that they called it? I know there was some really quite disparaging names were on the Facebook group recently. I can't remember them, to be honest. But any other names you can think of for the Apollo? Because I'd quite like to get these documented, because it's quite funny. But I tell you, I remember when they were knocking the place down.
Yeah.
When I met this guy, and he had like long blonde hair. He had a Bruce Springsteen t-shirt on with the shoulders cut off, and he had a strap on his back, right? And he was standing like that. And at one point, when they were knocking the building down, you could see the stalls and the circle on the upper circle. And then back, the guy, honestly, guys, he was standing there and he was greeting. He was greeting. And he said, I always wanted to play on that effing stage. And I went away. I went for a pint with our friend Nod.
Yeah.
And came back about 2 hours later, and he was still standing there in tears. It's absolutely amazing. Wow. I just wonder what he called the place. I'd suspect, unlike Steve's idea, he didn't call it the shithole. Do you know, it's funny because it was a shithole. That's fairly accurate. And can you imagine, right? I mean, that big, horrible place, that the SACC in Glasgow, you imagine if they had the same conditions in there as they had in the Apollo these days, it wouldn't last for 5 minutes. People wouldn't put up with it. But
unsanitary for a start.
Oh, horrible, yeah. But so the shithole, I never called it that, but I can see why.
Yeah.
But there was one conversation on Facebook as well, and I didn't appreciate this, and it was somebody who had been in the upper circle. And we used to always buy upper circle tickets, but never went to the upper circle. We used to just smuggle everybody down into the stalls. We'll talk about that another week. But the folk that were on Facebook were saying that the roof was so damaged that the rain was coming through the roof, and they were getting wet at a gig, and it wasn't sweat. I mean, you cannot imagine that now. They'd be an absolute stushy, wouldn't there, if somebody did that?
Yeah.
So,
see, I don't know what I remember recently someone put a side elevation thing together on Facebook, on a PDF or something, but I don't remember if there was anything above there like that. Wasn't there meant to be a dance floor up the top there? That's where
clouds,
and all that. Clouds was up there. So it must have been coming through that roof and then through there and then through another roof and then some floors.
Yes.
It must have been just not looked after.
Nah, they just left it. I mean, I've heard there's two stories there that are pretty good. There was one when the guys from Talisman Films were making the documentary, which is on YouTube, that they did with Alvin Stardust. They got run of the building, and I've seen loads of photographs. I've actually I must contact them and see if I can get hold of them for you guys, because they're not publicly. There's some of them are in the public domain, but they've got hundreds of photographs. And there's one where you remember the sign. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of it, but it used to have, like at Blackpool, the bulbs, thousands of bulbs, and there's a whole room, a massive room, and it's just full of bulbs. And because when it became the Apollo, they changed it, and there's a story behind that as well. And they took most of the bulbs down, so they had this huge stock of bulbs, which were up there, and apparently it was amazing. But I was never ever there. Here's somebody saying, Gloria, she met her husband at Clouds. Brilliant. That's fantastic. That was the other story though, Gloria, because I live in England. I live in the Cotswolds, a place called Moreton and Marsh, and I drink in a pub called the Black Bear. I used to drink in a pub called the Black Bear. Andy's been there a couple of times. And I was sitting in there one night a few years ago, and I was watching the Scotland game on my phone, because they didn't have it on the telly, because it must have been a big game, like Oxford must have been playing St. Peter's or something, so they didn't have the Scotland game on. And this guy came up to me and he said, "Oh, can I sit with you?" There's another Scottish guy. Turns out this guy was from Glasgow, and his name's Billy. And I don't know if you're on, Billy, but Billy's a big punk fan, and he's a wee bit older than me, but he's a very serious punk fan, and he absolutely loves Clouds. And what was it called before Clouds?
Was it Satellite City?
Satellite City, yeah. And he goes on and on about Peter and the Test Tube Brothers and all these other bands. So I think we need to do a show about that, Andy. I think that's one we need to do a show on, because it's God, Gloria saying married 45 years next month. Well done, my goodness.
Congratulations, Gloria.
That's amazing. What was the gig, Gloria? Tell us what the gig was. Was it just a dance, or was it a gig? I remember Tiger Tim used to play up there as well. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I remember him, but
Yeah.
yeah,
He was,
yeah.
and we had a guy on last week who was another DJ who used to play there, who's now got his own online radio show. So that's fine. What was the show, Gloria? Tell us what it was. And while we're doing that,
Yeah.
all right, I saw the picture of the design. Yeah, I saw Focus It Clouds and Stone the Crows. Bloody hell! I'd love to have seen her. What a woman she
Yeah.
was. Oh, Gloria, folks, it was the Glitter Band. That was before that big numpty was the singer.
Yeah. Is that George? Is that George replying to Tiger Tim used to play?
It looks like it is
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I did see Tiger Tim in there. Yeah. Came in with two bouncers.
Did he?
His own personal security.
He was on Radio Clyde as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I remember him on Radio Clyde.
Quite a small guy, but he had two big bouncers. I'm not
Is
going
he
to say.
still alive?
I think so.
Because
so.
I remember he did a book, I think, a while back.
He's a bit. He was a bit ill, I think. Yeah.
I'm having a Barney here. Let's not have a Barney now. Now, come on. The Glitter Band wasn't Gary Glitter. The Glitter Band were pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, so was Gary Glitter. Pisses me off. I remember seeing him at where was it? Milton Keynes one year. I think it was with Co or something, and he was absolutely brilliant. And it's just like such a nightmare. That's a good one. Yeah, but it was our shithole. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, my son, my eldest son, is 22 now. He's 22, Andy. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And he's big into music. How could he not be living in this house? But he has the same sort of love affair with gigs in Sheffield that we had in Glasgow. Because I used to think it was us, but I don't know if it was. Maybe I'm talking crap. Tell me if I'm sure you will. Well, I know you will. But he always says, you know, I can't even tell you the name of what's it called, the Sheffield place. But he loves it and he raves about it. And they do the same thing we used to do. They go in and they get tickets for free from various places and try to smuggle each other in. So I hope that is still the case, to be honest. I think it's pretty cool. But it was our shithole. You're absolutely right, Jerry. It was our shithole.
Maybe the worse the place is, the fonder you look upon it because you survived it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a bit like, I mean, some of the other, I mean, most of the gigs I've been to are, you know, Glasgow and Edinburgh, then Manchester, then London, in that order, because I've gradually moved south. And even gigs like, I mean, the Manchester Apollo is a brilliant venue, but it's not the same as Glasgow Apollo because it's neat, it's tidy, it's in good condition, and it's the same with the Hammersmith Odeon. I think it's called the Apollo now. Actually, the Hammersmith, I think it's the Hammersmith Apollo. Yeah. Great venue, you know, full of folk, but it's not got the same atmosphere. But that might just be me because of my age.
It doesn't have its own atmosphere.
No, it doesn't. No, that's right. It's clinical. Here's one from
coming in.
Does anyone remember Thin Lizzy's last Apollo gig? We were there. I think from memory, did about 6 or 7 encores. Phil didn't want to leave the stage, finished well late, and I missed the train.
Those two gigs are on YouTube. I just looked at them last night, so they're both on YouTube. Yeah.
Recordings, not video.
No, just recording. Sorry. Yeah.
I remember crying at that gig.
Why? Someone take your ice cream?
No, it was when he was doing you probably remember this, Alan. He had the mirror bass and he was shining it into the crowd. It was like a beam of, like a laser going into the crowd. Yeah. And they were doing that, I've Got to Give It Up, you know, that song about drugs.
Yeah.
And I think I was a bit young and daft, and I'd just been to a thing. I was involved in this sort of discussion group back in Carluke where we lived. And we'd had this guy from Dundee who was a recovering heroin addict, and he was a mess. And then they played that song that night, and it just took me right back. And I felt so much empathy for that guy that night. And I remember greeting. I was there with a guy called Ian Steele. Remember Ian Steele, Steely?
Yes.
I was
What
with
do you mean you
him.
were there? You were standing beside
You.
me, mate.
I know. I was just going to say that. Come on.
Yeah.
I remember him shining that light into the crowd, singing that song, and I was in tears. I thought it was a brilliant gig, absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant gig.
Well, for me, the I know it's not their most famous song, but it just fell out of my head there. I can't remember it now, but I'll remember it in a minute. But they did the song, and I was Angel. I've forgotten the name of it, but it's a fantastic song, and I was waiting the whole gig to see if they would play it.
Yeah.
Angel of Mercy. Angel of Mercy?
Oh yeah.
No, not
Angel of
Angel of Mercy.
Death. Angel of Death.
Angel of Yeah,
I
I think
think
it
it
is.
was.
And Angel of Death is like Nostradamus. I remember they played it on the TV the week before, or was it a couple of weeks before they were doing a gig on the TV, Thunder and Lightning gig tour,
I
and
remember that. I
they
remember that.
played it on there, and I thought, right, cool, they're going to play this song. So that was my
Yeah.
favourite song of theirs at the time.
Great song.
I mean, I liked all the rest, like Boys Are Back in Town, but that
Yeah.
at the time that was my favourite.
Yes. I mean, I think that last album with John Sykes on guitar, with Scott, I thought it was brilliant, and it was underrated at the time. And we actually didn't. We saw them we saw him when he was in 19, just near when he died. Actually, didn't we? At the Heathery. I wasn't there. I saw him in Edinburgh because you guys
Grand
went to see him in the Grand Slam, yeah. And we've actually got tickets signed by him, and I think he died about just a few days later, didn't he?
Maybe
some
months.
man. Some
But
man.
I remember being in the Heathery. I was standing at the bar, and Phil Lynott was standing beside me, and he was a big guy, or he gave the impression of being a big guy, and I couldn't speak to him because I was just so overawed by him just being there, just being in the same room as him.
If he'd seen you, he'd have felt the same way, mate. He'd have felt the same way.
Well, he'd seen me about 20 minutes before, standing up the front, right in front of him, going, "Oh, it's Phil Lynott."
We've got a few. There's actually loads coming in here, mate. This is. We're going to have to get back to some of these on the website. Robert Pratt saying, if you go to the Talisman Films Scotland website, you'll see a selection of pictures taken at the Apollo. We are selling the DVD and unsold tickets on eBay. From Robert. Hi, Robert. Yeah. I had the great pleasure of being actually on that film, being interviewed on that film. That was brilliant making that. And I think Talisman did a brilliant job. And you know the best thing about Talisman, they got Claire Grogan to do the sort of the voiceover, and she was really good. But what they didn't do is they didn't edit it very much. Well, they did edit it, of course they did, but it's a really long documentary, so people just get to talk and tell the real story. So I think it's a great DVD. So if you've never seen it, folks, get a copy of it from the Talisman guys. They're a really nice bunch of guys as well, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
And they did loads for us on the website, and they gave us stuff, and it was an absolute honour to be part of it. So thanks, mate. Thanks very much for that. And as I say, I highly recommend it. If you've not got that DVD, well, I would say that, but I think it's brilliant.
Sun Goes Down. I think that's what it was.
Was that it? All right, okay. That's a different song. That's the one I was talking about.
No.
Maybe it's the lyrics I'm thinking about, dude.
Yeah.
That must be the lyrics I'm thinking about. Yeah. Or I'm just talking crap again. It's quite possible. I remember Les Harvey, the Stone the Crows guitarist, got electrocuted on stage in Swansea. Yeah. Never knew he was Alex Harvey's brother. Yeah, I'd heard that before. Very sad. And I don't know if that was the end of Maggie Bell as a pop star, if you like, but that woman's voice is just unbelievable. I think she's mega underrated. But like John Bonham's sister. Worst moment of my life was when I wrote to Jim, "Will fix it. Please, Jim, can you fix it for me to meet Gary Glitter?" Oh God. Thing is, there was a lot of us in that sort of. This is Trevor. You couldn't make that up.
I think he's made that up, mate. I think he's made it up.
I don't know. You can't. I'm not making any assumptions, dude. I'm not making any assumptions. If you've made that up, it's quite good. I quite like it. But I'm going to go through these because there's so many things. Does anyone remember?
I hope he didn't ask for Style xylophone lessons from Rolf Harris. No,
Angel from the Coast. What's that?
I think that's
A
maybe a
band?
Thin Lizzy song. No,
Is it?
maybe it's a Thin Lizzy song.
I don't know that. Cold
Yeah.
Sweat. Yeah, Cold Sweat's a
Yeah,
brilliant
good
song.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Thank you. Tiger Tim is very much alive and well. Struggles with MS, but still causing havoc. Brilliant. That's good to
Good.
know. If you know him, say hi from us, because he was definitely a big part of our lives growing up, wasn't he, mate? I mean, he was quite,
Yeah.
certainly when we were kids, he was all over our hometown. So thank you very much for that. Say hi to him for me. Right. So we're rapidly getting out of time here. I better just, whoops, hold on. I've just got a signal from Facebook thing. So I'm just making sure the stream is going, because we've had such a dodgy day with technology. Here's someone else who saw Grand Slam at Tamdhu and Bannockburn. Brilliant. Band came out after the gig then as well. Brilliant. Phil was last out and it's moved off the screen and didn't look great. I was totally starstruck too. Yeah. I think I'd be the same if I met him. Because I actually, oh God, I'm talking about me greeting a lot. I was in Dublin on business. It was ages ago, and they were having one of the Phil Lynott tribute gigs by another Gary Moore, and I went along to that, and it was when they were unveiling the statue, and oh God, what a state I was in, because it's one of these guys that he was just so important to us when we were growing up, wasn't he? Yeah. He was an absolute dude. Absolute dude. And there's one more from Trevor here. Trevor, with the Apollo shutting in 85, it was long before the spectacular stage shows we have now. What were the biggest you saw at gigs at the Apollo? Mines were Saxon, the Eagle, brilliant, yeah, with the aircraft landing lights. Motorhead, Bomber, brilliant at that, and Rainbow. I saw Rainbow at the Playhouse with the eye, you know, the eye is going across the crowd. But the biggest show for me it's a bit of a obvious one. It was Kiss, and probably AC/DC. Actually, they had quite a big show even back then. On the For Those About to Rock tour, it was a pretty big show. I can't think of anybody else. Yeah. Do you remember when those cannons went off?
Yeah.
It was mad.
Well, I was telling you. I was telling you last night. Remember, I was just standing. I remember just stopping and standing, going, "What is?" when AC/DC were playing, "What is this? Like, this is mad. There's cannons, there's bells. You know, it was amazing." But yeah.
On the bootleg of that AC/DC For Those About to Rock tour, I keep calling it bootleg. Jack, I'm sorry. I'll get it out of my brain.
ROIO.
On the yes, that's too much for me to remember, mate. But on the bootleg, I think I said this last week. When I first heard that live recording, I put it on. Look at me, I'm doing this as if it's a record. Look, I put it on, and it's a recording of the bell at the song Hell's Bells, and it's like dying, and the crowd's going apoplectic. And I remember getting whooshed back to that moment. I could smell it. It was that sort of, somebody said earlier, it all smelled patchouli and marijuana. But then Brian came out, and it was actually quite funny because when he hit the bell, it went ding. So it's this sort of dong, dong, then ding, ding. Everybody was screaming and roaring. It was absolutely amazing. I think that's probably one of the biggest shows I ever saw at the Apollo. The Bomber, Motorhead's Bomber was amazing. As was Saxon's thing. They're still using that, I think. But
well, I saw Saxon. Me and Nod went down to Motherwell Civic Centre and saw Saxon there.
Did you? At the Civic Centre?
They had I'm pretty sure they had the Bomber lights and everything in there, but it was tiny. Or they only had a little bit of it, but I'm not sure. It seems it was a while ago, but I was like, wow, they were really good too. But yeah, I would have liked to seen them in the Apollo.
The Big Biff is was doing a speaking tour just before COVID came in, and he's a bit of a character actually. He's quite a smart guy, you know, quite an interesting guy. Yeah, so I hope he resurrects that, because it was quite funny though when he brought his solo album out. I thought I listened to it on Amazon, and I thought, I wonder if it's anything different to Saxon. No, it's just the same.
Was it?
It's a,
Well, I think they've just released an album of cover versions.
have they?
You know,
That
influences.
Christmas albums
Yeah.
is often the end, mate. You know, when bands do cover version albums and Christmas albums. When we started tonight, we started tonight talking about Leonard Skinner. They produced an abominable. Oh, I'm in form tonight, mate. I'm getting quite grumpy. But they produced a Christmas album. Jesus wept. It's
Right.
appalling. God, it's appalling. I don't know. So what did Saxon have on theirs? Was it
I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm
songs
gonna,
or something? Was it? Oh, dear.
no, it's like songs that influenced them.
Ah,
You
right.
know.
Oh, that might be not so bad. Because
Yeah, that would be better.
I'm biased, but the only one I really like is Rush when they did their cover versions album. That was brilliant. But I would say that.
Oh, yeah. It's
I
okay.
know. All right.
It's okay
All
for
right,
Rush
right.
to do it.
Hey, Rush could sing the phone book for me, mate.
Yeah.
And just watch the comments come in. Didn't like his voice. He sounded like a drowned rat. Yeah, right. Okay. Right. Anyway, so guys, we've run over time. Brilliant. I think that's magic. We could go on all night again. I think we haven't even shown any videos. We haven't played any music. And we've still run over time. So absolutely brilliant. What we're going to do next was I was going to show you a film, but we'll keep that for next week. I am going to create Mary Hell with this lot and make sure I get it working next week because it's not on. So hopefully we'll be on. We're on 6 platforms right now, right? We're on Facebook twice. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube, and various. There's another one as well for sure. I've forgotten, but we're on 6 platforms. Absolutely amazing. And people are coming in from all over the world, which is amazing. So thank you very, very much. So hopefully next week we'll get that to work. Just like to finish by reminding you that, you know, because people have asked us, we're going to do this next week. We're going to have a Zoom thing at the end, sort of after show party, if you like. And again, we'll run it, but it's for everybody to have a chat. It's not for us to keep talking. It's for everybody to talk to each other. And enjoy that. I'm learning about Zoom at the moment to make sure we can do it. And I know we can do rooms, so we can have groups talking about different bands or whatever. But I want us to do it organically. But I'm actually quite excited about it because I know folk are annoyed and bored, and you know could be doing with this. So I mean, Andy and I have been doing quite a lot of meetups with our friends where we're having a drink. We've been on for 3 or 4 hours. So, but if folk want to come on and do it, we've made the investment. We'd be absolutely delighted if folk wanted to do that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've loved that tonight. It's great. I don't know how you feel, Andy, but
you're good.
Getting into the detail a bit and talking about, you know, people's experiences is just magic. And I'm so touched by the feedback and the comments. Even you hater. I've got one hater, right? Even you, we love you as well. But thank you very much. I'm really sorry we couldn't play the music. I'm not going to tell you what it was because we'll use it another time. We've got folks saying goodbye here, Andy, from everywhere. Lincolnshire, great show. Thank you very much. That's really, really cool. And there's someone saying goodnight from Stockholm. That's just out of this world. We get about the Apollo Choir, don't we? So anyway, good night from me.
Good night, mate.
All the best.
And it's good from me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go and get another pint of Guinness, mate. So see you later, folks. All the best. See you soon.
All right.
Cheers now.
See
Bye-bye.
ya. Bye.